UAVs as a business model, learn and earn. So today we'll be focusing a bit on what these UAVs are, what are the types, and how can one earn by learning some things about UAVs, how they can utilize it and start some business, what applications would there exist, and what do you expect from, what money would you expect that would come back to you. So okay, so let's dive into it. And okay, so these are the contents of this presentation. We'll just get to the brief overview of what these UAVs are for someone who's new to this domain. And then we'll see how UAVs are good for business opportunity. And then we'll discuss some things about the financial prospects that you would need to invest and what you would be getting in return. So if and then we will go ahead and work on the what would you need to start a UAV business and the profit estimates. We'll talk about a little of how much would you expect, business options using UAVs, what kind of businesses you could do, and then we'll see if you actually start some business, what are the basic and most fundamental problems that may exist, and we'll discuss some of the challenges and its solutions, and then we'll just recap the whole presentation in the conclusions. So let's get started. Okay, so UAVs is basically the short form of unmanned aerial vehicles. So it is more commonly known as drones. Okay, so UAV is the more technical term, so the scientific technical term. So you can always go ahead and use the drones. These are aerial vehicles that do not have an onboard pilot. The pilot is at the ground, and he can fly the drones using some remote or using some computer or whatsoever, or even the advanced drones. They do not need a pilot at all. Okay, so they do not need a pilot at all. You can just program them and put some artificial intelligence stuff, and you can go ahead and just let me explain. Yes, you can go ahead and fly these drones. So there's an example here is a UAV with fixed wings. It has wings and there's no pilot on it. So we would say that it's an UAV system. Here is another example of a UAV system. It has no wings. It has rotary blades that rotate. Okay. So there are different kinds of UAV systems. So UAV in generic is if there is no pilot on board onto that drone, you would say that it's a UAV system, unmanned aerial vehicle. So we will talk about the latest trends in UAVs. While researchers are integrating AI for autonomous navigation and data analysis, for example. Well, if you want, you have 10 drones and you want them to cross a forest. Okay, so there are a lot of trees everywhere, and you do not have to manually drive the drone. That okay, I'm focusing on one of the drones. Go left, there's a tree. Go right, go up, go down. All this, and if I have 10 drones, how would I? Well, it will be really difficult for me to drive 10 drones at the same time, or I would need 10 pilots at the ground station far away. So in complex tasks, what we do is that we use AI, that is artificial intelligence, and machine learning and intelligent algorithms. We code them and we teach the drones that, okay, so something like this looks like a tree. So this is a tree. If you see a tree, you avoid it and move forward. So then you do not need a pilot, and you can just give autonomously to these drones so they can fly themselves. Okay, so that is well, this increases the applications of these drones by a huge amount. So that is why researchers are looking into this autonomous navigation using intelligent algorithms and this artificial intelligence a lot. So while we have enhanced sensors for better data collection and real-time processing. Well, you see that okay, if I'm like, let's say I'm driving a car, I'm looking at the road and the obstacles and the other vehicles through my eyes. Okay, so I'm a human being. So if I build a robot or machine or whatsoever it is, or a drone, whatsoever it is, it has no eyes. Okay, so it cannot see what's around it. It cannot sense anything. Okay, so what we do is we put sensors on it. So I can say that my eyes are sensor. Okay, So my skin is a sensor which can detect if something has touched it. My ears are sensors which can get information from the external environment. Whatsoever is there that extracts information from the external environment into that body, you would say it's a sensor. Okay. So, well, if I have basic sensors, we use chemistry and chemical engineering. Chemical engineers make these, well, detectors, and a lot of physics is involved in making these sensors. That's another domain. We'll not go into that. So we have some cheap sensor which can maybe detect some obstacle nearby. Well, that's good. Okay, for let's say I have a sensor here. I put it on a robot or a drone or whatever it is, and the maximum distance this sensor can measure is, let's say, 30 centimeters. So if there exists an obstacle nearby me in 30 centimeters, it will detect. But if there exists an obstacle, let's say 10 meters away from me, or 5 meters away from me, or even let's say 1 meter away from me, this sensor will not detect anything. So I cannot put this sensor in front of a car or at the back side of a car, okay, the motor vehicle, because well, that's an old version of the basic or the traditional sensor. So you increase the applicability and the efficiency of the system by using enhanced sensors. So the better the sensor, the more feature it has, the better your overall system would be. So that is why researchers are focusing a lot onto these enhanced sensors, because they would give you better data collection. Yeah, well, there are sensors that can detect obstacles and stuff from 110 kilometers away. Okay, so you get a cheap sensor from the market which can detect only, and if there exists an obstacle in front of you at 30 centimeters, and you get an enhanced sensor that detects an obstacle kilometers away. Of course, that kilometers away detection method, it will be superior, and you will have great applications using that. You can do a lot of things, right? So enhanced sensors is a very, very good domain. Okay, so improvements in battery life and flight time. So in UAV systems, all these drones that are flying in the air, well, if they're flying in the air, they are isolated from the ground. Okay. So everything that moves requires energy, right? So we need to focus a lot on this battery thing. This is the biggest problem in this, one of the biggest problems in these UAV systems, okay, or drones. Flying 30 minutes or maybe an hour, or some bigger drones with really big batteries, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on. But on average, you can expect a drone to fly for 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Well, that's a lot less time in comparison to the application. Let's say, well, you went for photography somewhere, and you flew the drone for 1 hour, and then you have to take it back. You have to back to the ground, and you have to recharge it, and then you can fly it again. So this is not a very good way to operate. But we are limited with the energy sources. Well, there are some researchers that are working in really, really good domains, and they have increased the battery lifetime of the. So researchers are really interested in this battery lifetime. Okay, so this is a really good domain. If you want to work or pursue something, you say, okay, yeah, I want to research rather than utilize. I want to do something to make the existing systems a bit better. So these are the three of the domains that you may go ahead and work on. Okay, so if we talk about the imaging applications in these UAVs, well, these UAVs are used in precision agriculture, crop monitoring, health, and optimizing yields. What we can do is send the drones. Well, if there is a farmer, let's say, and he has like, well, maybe 100 of the, okay, let's say farmer has 100 acres of land. He cannot just go around the land. Oh, this is huge amount of land, right? He cannot just go around and check the health of the crops, and if there is something that requires more water, or maybe there's some insect or pesticide attacking the crops, and he needs to spray something or give nutrients. He cannot manage this huge amount of land. by just walking between them. Well, he can, but it will be really difficult. A lot of manpower will be required. Well, this thing using UAV can be done instantly. What we can do is we can just send the drone on to those crops, and it can just take all the circles all the way. It can navigate along the crops or over the crops, and it can go around everywhere and get back the information about the health of the crops. Well, if you get the information about the health of the crops, you take the necessary action, and this ultimately optimizes your yield. So these drones are really, really good in agriculture domain. A lot of farmers are using it because this increases the initial investment cost is only one time. You just buy the drone for once, and then that's it. You just keep on reusing it. The only cost that it will require is the recharging of the battery. Well, you charge your mobile phones as well. That's not a lot of cost. It's really good option if you can optimize the yield of your overall crops. So if we go ahead and see that the drones are being used in the logistics as well. Well, if I want to like deliver a pizza from let's say 100 blocks away, it will take a lot of time for me to like drive or maybe use a bicycle or just walk or whatsoever. But if I could fly, it will take like 1 minute, maybe minutes to cross 100 blocks. Okay, if I could fly, because there will be no traffic and there would be no hurdles. I do not have to go over the road or over the building, cross something. There is nothing. I can go just straight ahead in straight line at high speed. So it's great. It's perfect. So if I can deliver a pizza in 1 minute, maybe that's not a big issue. We would say that I can wait for 20 minutes. That's fine as well. But in other applications, in other applications, the transportation matters a lot for the country. I'm sorry, is there a question? Okay, I believe someone's mic was okay. So carry on. Um,
No, there is no question, Dr. Mugiz. Let me again go into the system and prevent participants from unmuting themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, this is uh, remark that we always have. I am begging you again, very humbly, to please keep your microphones off. The only person that needs to speak at this
that's fine.
time and whom we need to listen to is Dr. Abdullah Mugiz. If your microphone happens to, for whatever reason, to get on, please turn it off. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you. Okay. So, okay. So we're talking about the logistics. Well, if you are constructing something in a mountainous area, well, it is really difficult to even get a few the packs of cement, so a small amounts of other constructional material. Well, you can just fly from one mountain to another mountain within a minute. So this will increase your construction speed maybe hundreds of times in comparison to if you had to travel and bring the goods to that other remote area using land. So delivering items through air is one of the best applications of these drones. Well, they increase the outcome by a significant amount. But of course, we have some limitations. We cannot just bring everything because we have the weight issue. Because these drones are smaller in size, they can maybe carry up to like some bigger drones maybe carry up to like 30-40 kg at max. On average, normal drones can carry like 5-10 kg of weight. So we cannot just carry something that is really heavy. So you can have the 50 kg at max kind of stuff in your mind if you have a bigger drone, or on average 5 to 10 kg transportation is good using some affordable drone. So you can have these figures in mind. Okay. So another application is increasing use in public safety and emergency response. Yeah. Okay. So the police can use these drones if there is a case somewhere, and well, it will take time for the police to go through land, to the roads, to the vehicles, turn the vehicle on, get ready. Okay, now we're moving, we're stuck in traffic, and the case is getting more serious. So what we can do, just fly over there. Fly over there, there's a camera on the drone, you can see using that camera, and you put a speaker on that, and you can also talk. You can say, hey, the bad guy, don't do it, or we're observing you, we'll get you. Here, the bad boy runs, you just follow the drone with him. So in public safety, they can be used in emergency responses. For example, if there was an earthquake somewhere, and you cannot just physically go there because of those hurdles and all those issues that may exist, well, you can just send a drone. So everything is good if you could just fly. So basically, you are flying a robot that obeys you and can do a lot of things that you want. And it's great because it takes a really less amount of time. And it depends on your imagination. What applications can you can perform using these UAV systems. Okay, so well, everything has a cost, but and everything is limited. So we have to see about these regulatory changes and impacts. Well, we have some rules and regulations in every government. You have to check with your government in your area. You can't just fly the drones in civilian areas, and of course not near the government areas. You have to take proper permissions, and you have to obey the regulations and the aviation commands of your government. You need certifications for commercial drone flying, and you need well, your business would also need permissions. You cannot just buy a drone and start doing stuff with it publicly. Okay, you need permissions and proper certifications from the government at the area which you are working. Okay. Okay, so if we see the market potential of the UAV systems, well, the UAV market is projected to reach multi-billion dollar valuations in the next few years, because I just gave you an idea of how these things are being used. Well, they have huge importance in the industrial and the military use. Okay, in the civilian role, well, a lot of businesses are using it, and then you can just use it, you can just fly a robot for fun as well. But in industrial and the military domain, well, these drones, well, they are the heart of a lot of technologies. Okay, because the applications are so vast, you can just think of, I could just like speak for an hour for maybe a full day on the applications that you could do, the things you could do using the drones. So this market is going, it is increasing exponentially. Okay, so well, there's a high demand in sectors like agriculture, construction, logistics, because of the applications that I just explained to you. Well, you the initial investment cost is so low, and the things that you can do with these drones, they are so high that well, everyone would want it. All a farmer is someone who's not very rich. He can afford to buy a drone, a very small drone which can fly for like 15 to 20 minutes maybe. You can just purchase it to 50 to $100 maybe. Again, if you want some normal average drone, you want to fly for like maybe an hour. Well, the drones, well, depending on the quality and where you're getting it from, the range can be from 100 to $1,000. But again, it's a one-time investment cost. Okay, and you can just reuse it, keep on reusing it. You just bring it back to the ground, recharge it, use it again. So you will just get your return of investment in a very small amount of time. So it has a lot of demand in a lot of sectors. Okay, so if we talk about why these UVs are being, why are they lucrative? Well, they have low operational cost compared to traditional methods, and the ability to offer unique services not possible with the other technologies. Well, if I want to transport some construction material from one mountain to another mountain, okay, and there's only one road between these mountains. Well, there is no other that would bring a better solution than a UAV system, because go from one mountain to another mountain in less than a minute. Your land vehicle would may take an hour or so or more to transport that vehicle. The UAV will take a very small amount of energy to travel in no time, and you would have huge fuel expense using that land vehicle. So the opportunities they bring, the solutions that they bring, the UAV systems, other things do not. Here I've included a picture. Well, these UAVs are used in tourism a lot, a lot. Well, you see a lot of maybe you see a lot of pictures and videos in which when you go to some tourist areas, well, you need to take the 3D view and you're standing here and you're getting the aerial view. A lot of people use these drones in tourism as well. So in agriculture, I just explained to you that these are being used in agriculture as well. In urban development, well, they can be used for security purposes, they can be used for construction and so on. So they are used in urban development. Well, you can monitor the traffic at some points. Well, okay, there's a traffic jam and this car is doing something wrong. Well, you can do something. Well, if you are looking at something from aerial view, you can take a lot of intelligent decisions. Forest and wildlife, you can observe the deforestation acts and if some wildlife is being affected or not. For example, a few years back in Australia, there was a huge fire which burned down a huge amount of their forest, and a lot of animals died. They were burnt alive. Well, you can use UAV systems to just quickly go and scan the areas. Okay, you can observe. Okay, there's a fire here. If you can see the fire at its initial stage, you can take measures to get rid of it. Okay, there are animals dying here. Okay, the animals are moving there and this. If you can see, you can well, you can take a lot of better decisions. Well, in Australia, they why visible fire had expanded a lot. So then they could not control it. Well, it expanded and ultimately control, but damage. So they give you better aerial view and you have better eyes. If you have better eyes, you can always take better decisions. So these are used as well. You can put a first aid kit on the drone and there is an accident somewhere remote and the ambulance will take a lot of time to get there. You can just take your drone and put some ambulance kit onto it and you can send the drone at far distance in about no time, and then you can assist. Of course, you cannot operate someone at that point, but you can do basic aid and maybe until the help arrives, that first aid kit or whatever you saw, whatever you sent, may save the life of that person. Well, they are used in security as well. Like, for example, the examples I gave you about the police and how they can use it and other purposes as well. Well, they are used in mining as well. Well, mining surveillance in areas where workers are working in the mining areas. You can send the drone and observe, okay, well, there's a gas leak here. You can put sensors there to detect the gas. You can send the drone, okay, there's a gas leak. Okay, we are observing this or this. Rather than risking a human life, you can just send the drone and check out what's happening there under the mine or what could be done. And then we have this disaster management. Okay, well, there's a flood or there's an earthquake and a lot of damage was done, and you cannot just look over a huge amount of hurdle or a lot of water or a lot of concrete, and you cannot just observe, okay, there is a human being water there, or one is drowning over there. You cannot look by eyes at a wider area. What you can do is send the drones, they can surveil, okay, and you can detect, okay, there is a person at that corner because you have a better view. So they are used in disaster management as well. Well, you can just put some air balloon around it and you can throw it. Someone who's drowning, he can take that, or maybe send a rope. You can just think of applications and you can go ahead and use them. They are used in oil and gas, telecom, and insurance, and so on. All of these have their own different kinds of applications. Okay, so if we talk about the types of UAVs that you could use for business opportunities, well, there are three major types of drones. One is this rotary wing or the multi-rotors. These are the drones which have no wings, but rather they have propellers that are rotating. Okay, so these are mostly, maybe you have seen somewhere someone taking video or pictures using these drones. So I'm pointing at them right now. So one of them is this quadcopter drone, which is the most common and most widely used drone around the world. Then we have this hexacopter and octacopter. These are other two configurations as well that are also used around the world. Well, hexacopter and octacopter. Octacopter can take maximum payload, maybe around 30 kg, 40 kg. Hexacopter can take the payload, can lift objects up to maybe 15, 20 kg. Quadcopter can maybe go around up to maybe 10 kg at max, or maybe 15, depending on the size of the quadcopter. So if you increase the number of propellers, you increase the capacity to lift a payload. Okay, so all of these are similar to each other. All of these have motors and they have propellers mounted onto them. Moving the propellers rotate and they generate a lift force which lifts the drone. So these are the multi-rotor UAVs. While they are versatile and easy to operate, they're ideal for short-range applications like aerial photography and inspection, and their cost is overall low as well. And the biggest benefit is that they are smaller in size, so it is easier to carry from one point to another point. You can just maybe, if you buy a quadcopter of a normal average size, you can just put it in your backpack as well. So it's important that the size consideration is quite important depending on your application again. Then we have these fixed wing UAVs. Okay, so here is an example of a fixed wing. So it has wings. I'm pointing at wings as well. So it has no blades or no rotator. Well, it could have a one rotating for the forward motion, but it majorly flies on the Bernoulli's principle and the physics is involved. But the most traditional and the most old form of aeroplanes, the drones, is with this fixed wing UAVs. Well, they have longer flight times because they do not have motors running at constant speed that provide constant lift. So they consume less energy. Since they consume less energy, they have longer flight times and they are really good for large scale mapping and surveying tasks. Okay. So, for example, if you want to go from one country to another country, or maybe from one state to another state, fixed wing is a good choice. But if you want to go from one block to maybe 200, 300 blocks away, or maybe you want to circle the ground, or maybe cover a smaller area, well, fixed wing is not a very good choice. Okay, it is suitable for large scale applications. Okay, if you want to just go and, well, your area of work is small, then multi-rotor is a good choice because they are cheap and they are smaller in size. You cannot just put a fixed wing drone into your backpack and go somewhere. You need a proper transportation mechanism. We need a really good car. With maybe you have to mount it on the rooftop, and if you want to transport it from point to another, or you could just fly it from one point to another. But again, if you want to fly it from one point to another, you need permissions from the government. You cannot just violate the privacy. Maybe someone is taking a bath at its roof and you fly the drone on top of it. Well, you are violating the privacy. So you have to take the permissions and obey the law. And then we have these hybrid UAVs. Well, they combine the benefits of multi-rotor and fixed wings. So here's an example of the hybrid UAV. So it has wings as well. Okay, and here there are propellers as well. So it is the mixture of a fixed wing and maybe a quadcopter or multi-rotor, a rotary wing. So it is a mixture of fixed wing and rotary wing. Well, fixed wings need a runway for the takeoff. The rotary wings do not need a runway. You just put it here and you say, take the flight. It will fly right from here. So it can take vertical takeoffs. Okay. Vertical takeoff and landing. The feature they have, this is VTOL. VTOL. VTOL, short form for vertical takeoff and landing. This is a feature of these rotary wings, which is a really good feature because if, let's say, you are in your room or maybe a closed area, you can fly a rotary wing. but you cannot fly a fixed wing because fixed wing needs a runway. If you are in your room, there is no runway. You cannot fly a fixed wing, but you can fly a rotary wing, which is a multi-rotor. You can fly a quadcopter. You can fly a hexacopter and octocopter and so on. In hybrid drones, well, you have these rotatory blades as well. So it also has the feature of VTOL. You can lift it off in your room. And the bigger benefit is that it has wings as well. So it will take less energy. So maybe if the quadcopter was flying for 30 minutes, this hybrid drone can fly for like maybe 1 hour or 1.5 hours. Okay. But the disadvantage would be that it's a big thing, so it will be a little bigger in size. So you have to take the consideration of the cost and the size that you bring with the additional features. Okay, so these are the most common three types of the drones. Okay, so if we talk about the applications of UAVs, well, these are used in crop health monitoring, which I previously explained to you, and they can be used for spraying fertilizers and pesticides. If there is a farmer, there's 100 acres of land. It is really difficult to like spray some fertilizer on all this area using the manpower. Well, it is really quite quick and easy. Just put the spray onto the drone, fly the drone, press the button, it will keep on spraying and flying over the all of that area. So agriculture is a really good domain to use these drones for. Well, they can be used for inspection purposes, infrastructure inspection, bridge power, oil lines, oil. Well, wherever you want surveillance, you can just send your drone, get the surveillance and inspect whatever you want. Okay, so this reduces the risk and cost associated with this manual inspection. If you hire persons for manual inspection, you need to pay them, and there it will take time, and reliability issues may come. The reports might get manipulated. You can just send your drone and look by yourself. You can inspect anywhere, anytime you want. Well, they are really, really good in delivery services. So the last mile delivery in urban and rural areas, delivery of medical supplies in emergency situations, delivery of construction materials, delivery of life-saving materials, delivery of anything you want, from pizza to something that saves life. So it is really good and quick to uh, to get these delivery services as well. Okay. Furthermore, if we go ahead and see that, okay, they are used in aerial photography and videography. This is the most common use, and a lot of civilians who do not know anything about the drones, they get the drones for these purposes as well, to take their pictures and the photos, because there are companies that have put really, really good cameras around some things, around some drones, and give you really good pictures. Okay, so they can be used in construction side. Another application is that you can use to 3D map some points as well. But this is an advanced application. You will need a lot of knowledge to actually implement or maybe start a business. But it is really unique and a really good option to go ahead and work with. So let's say we have a drone here, and you can put a lidar sensor or an optical flow sensor and combine them using image processing and all that computer vision stuff. And you can just fly the drone over an area. It will scan it and give you a 3D map rather than a 2D map, which we have in Google Maps. We can get a 3D map of the area over which the drone was flying. Okay, so here's an example. The drone flew over this area, and it generated a 3D animated map. You can use it for different purposes and analysis. Okay, okay. So if we see the financial prospects, well, the initial investment cost, if we talk about the initial investment cost, UAV equipment and accessories are required. You need to pay the necessary cost for licensing, certification, and insurance. You need to pay for marketing and client acquisition. You need to pay the initial the website development and the initial. Okay, we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so the expected revenue streams. Well, service fees for aerial service, you can do is that you can buy, let's say, 10 drones, and then you can just maybe give them on rent to someone, or you can just hire 1 2 persons, or you can go yourself. You take the drone to some event, you say, okay, I'll do this photography of this event. You'll charge them. Okay, you say, okay, for taking pictures for 1 hour, I'll take $500 because this is a big event. Okay, fine, whatever your rate is. Okay, so you take your drone, take the pictures, you come back with your drone and $500 in your pocket. Tomorrow you again go to another event. You take the pictures, bring back your drone, and uh, take $500 or whatever the amount. So initial investment is one time only, and the maintenance cost is really low. There's no maintenance unless you break something. Okay, if you fly it with care, you do not put it in water, you do not put it in flammable areas, you don't hit it in walls, you don't break it, the maintenance cost is almost nothing, almost. Okay, so it's an investment, a one-time investment cost. You take the drones and then you can redo the applications as many times as you want. Okay, so they're really good. You can take the service fee for aerial surveys, inspections, photography. Okay, subscription models for ongoing monitoring services, or you can rent your uh, drone for agricultural monitoring, or you can maybe provide a service to some farmer. You can say, okay, I'll monitor your crops and I'll tell you about the health of your crops. I'll take this much money from you, and you can just send your drone and it will take all that data and you can tell it and you can take your fees and take the drone back to your home, and next day do the same again using the same drone. Okay, because it is reusable, fly it as many times as you want. All you need to do is recharge the battery. Okay, and the cost of electricity or recharging the battery is so low, it's really low. Okay, okay, so sale or lease of UAV equipment, that's an also one of the options. Okay, so profit margins and return of investment. While it has high profit margins due to relatively low operational cost, well, their operational cost is nothing. It is consuming no fuel. It's using a battery. So electricity is fine, good. It's not that much costly, and it has quick return on investment in rapidly growing markets like agriculture and logistics. Well, let's say you spent maybe $2,000 in getting, let's say, 5 drones, maybe, okay, and you use it for agriculture purposes. It's a huge land, okay, let's say 100 acres or maybe more. You can maybe get the return of investment. You can maybe get this $2,000 that you spent maybe in a week, or maybe in a month. Depends how much farmers did you contact and how much service you did or how much you went and well expanded your business. So it has really quick return on investment, and you can then after that you can just keep on earning stuff. Okay, so okay, so if you want to start a business and you need to get the items, here's a basic introduction of what you would need. You would need the drones, it will need batteries, you need controllers like these controllers. There are the controllers. We can have a separate session if the audience want on the equipment and how to maybe make a drone, a basic drone. Or if you do not want to make a drone, you can just purchase it from somewhere. If you make it, of course, the cost will be really, really low. If you purchase it from somewhere, fine, the cost is high, but you don't have to do anything. Okay, so these are some of the equipments that are associated with the drone. If there are questions, we'll go ahead and look into that. You need softwares to operate these drones. For example, there is a mission plan software, and you can use it to operate the drone.
There seems to be a problem. We apologize on the end of our
That
presenter.
you need to develop. Sorry.